Karibuni. I welcome you to our show tonight. Yaani mnasema mnaningoja ndiye mimi huyu. Yes, I'm waiting. So dakika 5 alafu nikuje. Mko ama mkoaje? Nawakaribisha kwa show siku ya leo. So karibuni. Yes, and you're very happy. And you need to confirm hawa watu tulitoa wapi. Hawa watu tuliwaendea pahali. So we were in another show hapo ndio tuliendea watu. Majority of people walitoka huko. So yesterday we were very gracious. We got around 25 subscribers. So I did an outreach somewhere and tulikuwa huko and hapo ndio tulipatana na watu. So it was an outreach we did somewhere. Okay, kuna mtu ananitafuta kidogo. Leo nataka tukuje tuongee story ya hiyo mazishi ya ODM. Yeah. Just give me a minute. Niko na mfuko ya mtu hapa. Nimpea alafu tuongee. Yeah, so leo huko topic ni men for hire. Yes. Ninataka kuonesha yani mtu anaamua kukufa na ako tayari. I'll be back shortly. So muingie kwa kituo. Haya, poleni. I had something. So sijui kama mna celebrating vitu ama niachane na nyinyi. I've received my certificate today. I've received my certificate today by the grace of God. That is what nilikuwa nimeenda kuchukua. Haya, good. Karibuni. Naomi ndio Njiro anaingia studio shortly. Yeah, niko hapa sasa. Toeni story, toeni mchango. Sasa msha auction ODM msha auction So bwana RB, kama hujaiona hii ni ile inaitangwa for the masses of God. Hii ni ile inaitangwa certificate kubwa, ndio hiyo. Yeah. Let's see what it will do in life. Sawa. Away from that, sasa nasikia hata mkereketwa baba mmempigia makelele sana mbaya, na mwezi niambia venye nimeupgrade bana. Amuoni venye niko station noma. Ninyi watu hata hamjui kuona, yani nangojea hata yani museme kitu, yani sitakuwa nawatafutia vitu. Sasa nyinyi mtakuwa mnakaa hivyo, yani you people you cannot appreciate where I am, yani like amuoni usafi yani. Haya, ni sawa. So I think you like Kadamba Isoni, so wewe anabii ukiona hivi uone venye polisi inakaa. Haya, ni sawa. So tusemeaje? It's going nicely. Yeah, so wacha niwekee is eminent. He is baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Leo nasikia hata watu yake hawataki kusikia akiongea. Niwekee, lazima niwekee His Excellency Raila Odinga leo. Nasikia mumembuu. Nasikia mumembuu. Sasa ashaolewa officially. Can't imagine these are the people I was supporting there at night. But at least nasikia kina Sifuna kwenda. But this one was the death of a political party. Wamekufa vibaya hawa. Bado kuna conclave ama hiyo mambo iliisha? Alikuwa na lecture ma senators, but I am not scared. Kweli. I want to anyway, nataka kuwatafutia tu kitu mzuri. Karibuni, na kama mjatupea subscribe pia mtupee subscribe jameni. Lazima tukuange tunaenda kuombelea ma subscribe kwingine. Okay, Father anasalimiana. So Father, leo nataka kuwaonesha the body of ODM. So what ODM is going to become. ODM inaenda kukua matambara. I think ODM itakuwa matambara kama 6 hivi. Na ningetaka mtu wa kukuja kutetea ODM leo saa hii. In fact, and I also want to go to Shakahola ili nijue Shakahola watasema aje about this. Because Shakahola used to tell us all the time that mkereketo anajua kile anafanya. Huyu mkereketo amemezwa akijua tu kile anafanya na drama mingi. Anyway, but sijui kama mnajua ile wimbo, ya hebu niweke hii wimbo, lazima musikie hii wimbo, lazima niweke hii wimbo ni ya ODM. Hii wimbo lazima niweke. Iko wapi hii wimbo? Lazima niweke, na hii wimbo lazima niweke. Mwezi enda hivyo, hii mwezi enda hivyo, hii ya mwezi enda hivyo, hii ya mwezi enda hivyo, hii lazima niwaekea. Wakitaka kuniwekea copyright ni sawa, lakini lazima niwaekee. Hiyo lazima niwekee. Hao mwendo wamemaliza, lakini hawajapiga vita vizuri. So hapo kwa wimbo nitaedit kidogo. Ni sawa, mwendo wamemaliza, lakini vita hawajapiga vizuri. So, mwendo wameumaliza. So hiyo inaitwa ODM for you. Na tafadhali mtupige subscribe. Hii maneno ya kunifanyanga niende channel zingine kutafuta subscribers amfanyi vizuri, lakini ni sawa tu, tutaenda. Hao wamemaliza mwendo. Yeah, yes, I'm sorry Father Danny. You know, ODM tuchawazika officially. ODM tumewazika. So ODM tumewazika. Karibu sana Kipril. So ODM wamemaliza mwendo, lakini wajamaliza vizuri. So kuna edit hapo kidogo kwa hiyo wimbo ya kanisa. Father, so I didn't know that you know, when I was in school we used to say finishing strongly. I didn't know that somebody could yearn to finish badly. Anyway, so I think Raila has called it a day, and it's good. Unajua wakati mtu, when somebody has decided his own state, msimuamulie. I think Raila Odinga has called it a day. So I think sasa hii ndio ile the famous Kiembu saying tunasemanga, kutokezea na ile umevuna. Sasa I think Raila Odinga ametokezea na yake. He has nothing else left. Sasa ni kwenda akipimiwa kama ako na nusu debe. So mambo ya Raila tumemaliza. Mambo ya Raila. I want Moses Kuraya. Niliwaekea tweet jana yake, but sikuwa nimeona hii speech yake, but wacha niwaekee kidogo. Moses Kuraya.
See it live.
Oh my.
In March of this year. Former Cabinet Secretary and Presidential Advisor Moses Kuria has castigated Kenya Kwanza leaders against the advancement of negative ethnicity, warning of the bearing it will have on the stability of the nation. Kuria, at the same time, called on leaders to stop the broad brush painting of the Kikuyu community at the expense of impeached former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and instead focus on nation building. Ayub Abdikadir has more.
Taking on his former cabinet colleague, the former Gatundu South lawmaker, in a social media posting, took on mainstream Kenya Kwanza leadership for what he labeled a collective condemnation, stating, "Yesterday in Balambala, Aden Duale in broad daylight declared that 2027 will be like 2007. The good, the bad, and the ugly, I presume. Kuria, one of President William Ruto's vocal cheerleaders in the run-up to the presidential poll in 2022, in a rather advisory note continued, I call upon all leaders to play back their speeches every evening and do some soul-searching, not because of ourselves, but because of our children. Considered a government insider despite making up the casualties list in the aftermath of the 2024 Gen Z Thunderbolt, and later leaving the catalogue of presidential advisors stationed at State House, Kuria, calling on lawmakers William Kamket and Jackson Mandago, said, from Kamket to Mandago to Aden Duale, some of us have unapologetically said no to returning this country to the politics of negative ethnicity, and equally reject the wholesale condemnation and collective punishment of an entire community. In July, Senator Mandago stated,
kama amesahau, idadi ya Wakenya ni zaidi ya milioni 50. So that as you make a lot of noise, usikae kama kuku ametega yai moja na imepanda juu ya nyumba stoka na ni yai huwezi fika gram.
On Saturday in Garissa County, the health CS accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of sowing seeds of tribalism.
The days of entitlement is over. The days of entitlement that one community is more important than any other community is gone. It has gone after the new constitution, after the advent of devolution.
In finding a Damascus moment, Kuria, a former advisor, a lawmaker, and Kenya Kwanza insider, has had a tenure dotted with statements that were at odds with the offices he held, often demeaning members of the public. Ayub Abdikadir.
Yeah. The days of entitlement are over. Only you know who are being told that. In any case, I don't know how entitled Kikuyus are, and they are suffering like any other person. The days of entitlement are over. And still there is somebody who can continue sitting in parliament, in cabinet with that guy. Kuna Wakikuyu wajinga sana. Kuna Wakikuyu wajinga sana. Mtu anaongea hivyo and you are busy serving in the same cabinet na yeye. Wakikuyu pride yenu ilienda wapi? Akina Mutai Kagwe na Kafoko. You can serve in such a parliament, in such a cabinet where your community is being disparaged. Watu wengine wacha niweke NTV. NTV ni kama watu wanasema ati Ruto amekubali amepoteza umaarufu. Let's see. Anyway, karibuni sana kwa show. Umaarufu. Anyway, let's see if I will be able to get that. Okay. Na msiniweke kwa kituo peke yangu sana. Hata Kipuriro kuja. Leo sina shida na mama yako. Niliacha hiyo maneno.
Sasa nikupe hii. Rais William Ruto amekubali kuwa amepoteza umaarufu miongoni mwa Wakenya, ila anasema ni kwa sababu ya miradi mipya aliyoanzisha kama vile ASHA, mfumo wa elimu ya juu, pamoja na mradi wa nyumba za bei nafuu. Na kama David Mudhoka anavyoripoti ni kwamba Ruto aliyezungumza pamoja na Raila Odinga kwenye mkutano wa pamoja na wabunge wa ODM na Kenya Kwanza, ameapa kukaa ngumu, akisema kuwa yuko tayari kuubeba msalaba.
Kwa mara ya kwanza tangu walipotia saini mkataba wa maelewano mapema mwaka huu, Rais William Ruto na kinara wa ODM Raila Odinga waliandaa kikao cha pamoja cha wabunge wa ODM na Kenya Kwanza mtaani Karen leo asubuhi. Akizungumza moja kwa moja na wabunge pasi kurejelea kiwambo au ujumbe wowote ulioandikwa, Ruto alikiri kuwa amepoteza umaarufu.
The difficulties that I face today as a president in Kenya are self-imposed. I imposed on myself all these difficulties. Implementing the new funding model, implementing SHA, implementing housing, doing all those things. If I hadn't done any of those, I would be a very popular person, but the country would not have moved anywhere.
Hata hivyo, Ruto anasema mtu yeyote mwenye nia ya kubadilisha taifa angekuwa kwenye usukani, vilevile angepoteza umaarufu.
I am confident that if Raila had become president, he would be doing what I'm doing. Yes. He would be implementing SHA.
Raila.
He would be implementing housing. He would be doing reform in the education. He would be doing reform in agriculture. I know that for a fact because I have been in his school of leadership. That's the correct position. And he would be as unpopular or as he'd be having the same difficulties that I have today. But these are necessary for Kenya to change. Friends.
Akiwageukia wabunge, Ruto aliendelea kuwasuta kufuatia madai kuwa wamekuwa wakiitisha hongo nono kutoka kwa viongozi wanaowapiga msasa kwenye kamati zao.
Do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering? Did you get the money? So there are people who are destroying the credibility of Parliament. And they are collecting money in the name of Parliament. And some of the time, or most of the time, that money never gets to Parliament, it gets to a few people. We are not going to shame them. We are going to arrest them.
Ruto na Raila aidha waliwaambia wabunge wasahau hazina ya NGCDF ambayo wako mbioni kuiweka kwa katiba, wakisema hazina hiyo ilishaharamishwa na mahakama.
Your legislatures and a very famous English politician said that I may not agree with what you have to say, but I shall defend until death your right to say. So listen to me. Let me say it. And then you'll have a chance to come and respond. Parliament is not supposed to be implementing. Parliament is supposed to be oversighting.
Mkutano huu wa kihistoria ni dalili tosha kuwa ndoa ya kisiasa kati ya vyama vya UDA na ODM na kati ya vinara wa vyama hivyo Raila Odinga na Rais William Ruto unazidi kunoga kuelekea uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027. David Muthoka, NTV, Karen, Nairobi.
Hao wanapelekana kaburini pamoja. Mmoja amebeba jeneza ya mwingine. Hao wanaelekea kwa kaburi. Their burial days could be different, but watu wanaendelea wanapelekana kaburini hao. Hao wana mambo mengine. He picked so many programs and he would be, that's why he is unpopular. What? Makubwa haya. What? Makubwa haya. Sikujua. Tumezipiga vita kweli. Wacha niwapeleke kwa general. Naye musikie timu yake inasema namna gani. As I wait for
you expect Kenyans to be at JKIA, you said at 8 a.m. on Thursday. But in that statement and in earlier statements, you are suggesting as though there could be a foul play of diverting his plane.
Oh yes, we have intelligence that upon the directives of Mr. Murkomen, which insinuated that upon Rigath's arrival, they will arrest him at the airport. The security agencies have realized that many people are coming to the airport to receive him, and therefore there are plans to divert his flights to either land in Mombasa or Kisumu. But we have adequate plans to receive Gachagua in whatever international airport that he will land in. So long as he lands in Kenya, he will be well received, because Rigathi Gachagua is a leader that leads a troop across this country.
The Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says your party leader will have to record a statement in relation to his remarks on terrorism in the US, in which he accused the president of the Republic of Kenya of meeting Al-Shabaab in Mandera.
Who is the complainant?
Well, that's what the CS is saying.
Second, the issues Rigathi Gachagua was trying to amplify are basically issues before the US Senate. They are basically issues before the international community and generally the global community. And therefore, he's not introducing new things. You've seen the petition in the US Senate elaborating those issues. In both print and broadcast media, we've also seen in the recent past neighboring countries complaining about his interaction with rebel communities in those sovereign jurisdictions. And therefore, whatever Rigathi Gachagua said is not new. Second, Rigathi Gachagua was complaining against this same government headed by William Ruto. And therefore, we cannot again go and record a statement against, we cannot go to record a statement to the same accused person. And therefore, there will be absolute conflict of interest. We have given our conditions that if you want Rigathi Gachagua to record a statement, he is ready to appear before the US Senate to give his evidence. We are also ready, and we, by the way, are, through the leadership of the former AG, we are ready to compile evidence of extrajudicial killings, evidence of abduction, evidence of false and illegal state detention of the citizenry of Kenya. At that point, as to when we shall agree that this is now a complete case to present at the ICC, Rigathi Gachagua is ready to make any statement before ICC. And therefore,
the bone of contention currently is his remarks on terrorism and the president meeting terrorists in Mandera. Are you saying he will substantiate that?
He will substantiate that. He said that he has evidence. He was the deputy president, and he has information about that. And therefore, he is very confident that given a chance to record that statement to a neutral person, not to the same people that he is accusing.
Are you questioning the independence of these government agencies mandated to investigate?
Of course. You've seen they have always advanced this narrative of the police is independent. But you've seen in the recent past, we have seen cabinet secretaries commanding or giving commands to the police force that you can shoot to kill. We've seen the president himself interfering with the management of the police service, and therefore it is in public domain that our police force and our security agencies are not independent, as enshrined in the Constitution.
And bottom line to that, you say.
Big go ahead. Jana ulienda mapema. Leo show ni yako.
Heko daktari, mwalimu. That is a huge achievement. This is just amazing. Hiyo ni kitu mzuri sana hiyo. This is a long end of
hiyo ni mambo ya Mungu.
Journey.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Anyway, jana nilikuwa hapa nikaondoka haraka kwa sababu by the way, nasalimu kila mtu hata huko kwa comments. Jana niliondoka mapema kwa sababu tuliwasili jana na uchovu, na leo mashule ilikuwa inafunguliwa hapa, so hapa ilikuwa ni back to school. So anyway, mimi ni kupongeza tu na kukuambia hata leo nimekuongezea sababu moja huko, sijui kama umeona. Nimekuongezea sababu moja huko kuchangia.
We are doing well. between yesterday and today tumepata over 25 subscribers. So
There you go.
imekimbia sana, tuko 2014
Amen.
subscribers 2014. So
Kusambaza.
tuliruka jana ngiri mbili na we are now in 14. Thank you for bringing those people. Na uendelee kuhimiza watu wengi wakuje.
Kujaribu tu. Anyway, hii
Now
ni
we are in road 3000.
sikukusikia hapo.
I'm saying we are in road 3000. Unajua unarukanga hapo unaenda hiyo level nyingine. Si ati unasimama. Unatafuta ngiri mbili, unatafuta ngiri mbili, unaenda ngiri tatu.
You should be targeting now 10,000.
Yeah, so
hiyo ndio sasa ikuwe target sasa.
Sawa, nimekubali.
So si ati lazima
or 1 billion.
Ati kwa sababu ati umepanda daraja moja wewe tu unafikiria tu ile branch iko hapa karibu. Lazima unatangulia ile matunda yako pale juu. Anyway, hii ni kikubwa kwa sababu ndio ile wiki Gachagua anarejea nyumbani. So it's an interesting take. But anyway, tuendelee kujijenga hapa na kueneza hiyo injili bora kwa sababu ni kitu ya maana. Anyway, ni hiyo tu, ni salamu. Tutaongezea baadaye, waendelea.
Una story nyingine ya ODM? Ujui ODM leo wamejiweka kwa jeneza?
Hiyo kitu haikukufa leo. Leo ni mchanga tu tulikuwa tunamwagilia. Ilikuwa kwa mochari kwa muda. That thing has been frozen for quite a while.
I'm trying to look for a speech where I'm hearing that Raila Odinga was booed. I'm not getting it, but once I get it, I don't know he was booed for saying what, even by his own general.
Hiyo ndio. Unajua hata wakijaribu kufunika mwananchi na hii chan, sisi ati watu wamelalia vile sana. Hizo ni mbinu zao tu za kueneza hiyo injili yao ya upuzi. These are interesting times, man, I'm telling you. Sijui hata kama huyu mtu anaona usingizi sasa. Akijua hiyo ndege iko karibu iko karibu kutua. Kwa sababu inakuja tu ikikaribia. Na vile inakaribia ndio yeye anakosa usingizi. Hata juzi tumeona bibi yake amekuja kumpatia nani? Inaitwa nini? Support, life support. By the way, nasikia nani alivaa suti leo? Zelensky.
Yeah, although hakuweka tai, hakumaliza. So at least na amesema thank you mingi sana.
Lakini unajua hiyo yake imeiva.
Amesema thank you mingi sana.
Hiyo yake hakuna kazi kwa sababu ni tu serikali tuto hapa tunanyemelea tukisubiri huko kwenyu kukohoe. Lakini ukiuliza mwananchi wa kawaida hapa hata yeye amekasirika sana na hawa watu. Kwa sababu unajua pale nyumbani tunasema tuko na ukabila. Lakini ile ukabila iko na hawa watu baina yao. Oh my God. Especially kama umetoka huko Eastern Europe. Unajua hata hakuwa wanakutaka hata kidogo. Hata taheri wangeenda kuchukua Mwafrika ama Mhindi huko mbali. Kuliko waende hapa Latvia ama Poland kuchukua wenzao. So
besti yako alikuwa amevaa hivyo.
Tusinge huko bwana.
Nasema besti yako alikuwa amevaa hivyo leo. Acha nikuulize.
Kwani alikuwa anaenda mazishi? Lakini alikuwa anaenda mazishi yake. Unajua hiyo yao imeisha sasa hiyo.
Na alikuwa anaongea statement mbili, thank you. Statement mbili, thank you. Statement mbili, thank you.
He has to.
It's not funny. He has to be appreciative by now. Unajua watu wameteseka for 3 years.
Kwa sababu walikubali kutumiwa kama mtumba.
Walitumiwa na EU.
Exactly. EU and the US.
And the US wangefanya tu unajua mambo ya kijamii unaachana nayo because Russians and Ukrainians are cousins.
Exactly.
They are the same people. Ni kama the Luo man in Uganda fighting with the Luo man in Kenya.
There you go.
They be from separate countries, but they're the same people. They speak the same language. It's like
Aye.
Somalis in Kenya fighting with the Somalis in Somalia.
Yeah.
Yani maneno ya kijamii, unaona, unaachana nayo. So what happened is this guy was gaslit by Europe kuweka hizo nini inaitwaje hizo ma anti-missile things pointing
Nakuwa-
towards Russia.
na kuahidiwa
That
ati
was
vile
aggressive.
wataingia kwa EU.
That was aggressive. That was very aggressive. Alafu sasa old wounds were just bought in. But anyway, wacha tuongee mambo ya Raila Amolo Odinga. I think this Raila there are two different people here. There is Ruto who is in Dululu land, complete Dululu. Kichwa yake, he thinks that everything is viable. And he thinks that loyalty is old school way of thinking, where if I buy a few leaders here and there, the rest of the community will flow towards you. Watu wa Raila wote wataenda. Jared was a Raila person. I was avid follower of
Yeah.
Raila. So you're telling me that that's Ruto's mentality is that support of Raila that we had in 2022 would be inherited. Like that's his mentality. And now, as you can see from what we're talking about, the burial of ODM is watching the governor of Mombasa not coming to that garbage thing. The Sifuna, the deputy secretary general, or the leaders of ODM are not appearing. There were just merely 40 MPs that came. Hawako wengi. And the discomfort is not just merely at ODM level for that meeting. You know that. It is also at the UDA side. The UDA people are very uncomfortable with this alliance. But knowing for UDA ni tumbocrats. Unajua sasa mnaleta watu wengine ya kukula manze, table manners, meza imekuwa ni ndogo na tuko wengi sana. And again, there's that demand. There's a lot of demand from the Raila's team that some of the UDA people are not too happy about. Remember, this has got nothing to do with the common mwananchi. The demands that we see, the most tribal idiot I've ever seen, Akina Mbadi, talking about we have to support Ruto because due to tumeletewa maji. We have to support Ruto because amenipatia kiti ya CS. I'm the only person from this region to pay party of finance. It is absurd. Like Ruto's narrative and Raila's narrative is different from his little dogs going around. They talk about coming together for national unity, yet you find their CSs and their MPs running around talking tribalistically. Wanaenda kwa their little regions and saying, and it's so hypocritical. Oh, the opposition is tribalist. Alafu anaenda kusema, we have to unite together as people from here because tumeletewa hizi, tumeletewa some goodies from Ruto, tumeletewa maji, tutatengenezewa barabara in future, tutafanyia hizo vitu zote because we are in government. So what unity is there whereby only certain communities are going to benefit, yet nikiulizwa what about give me one member of parliament that is, one CS who is Borana, pati tu moja. Give me a Mijikenda CS.
Zamani tulikuwa na Galgalo.
It's just we're too many to start saying that we are national government of unity. I was listening to my favorite podcast actually this morning, and something scared me when he started talking about it. You know, the bold. The
Yeah,
bold
the
said
bold
something very
analysis.
scary. He said that he smells a referendum. The bold said he smells a referendum, and that could be the most dangerous thing. Raila has been trying for several years to put in these stupid referendums that are down to sharing leadership amongst his friends. BBI. They usually put a few goodies for the people ile vitu ndogo ndogo mzuri, like 1 vote 1 shilling, ama 1 county 1 product, some good referendums on top of the, lakini wanamwaga matope kwa hii vitu zote, wanamwaga hii kitu ya they call it power sharing, but the people are not interested in power sharing. So what I'm afraid about this for a referendum, that this so-called government of national unity ama wanaitanga broad-based, is they will go and the way they did with these things we usually do, hizi ujinga na tudanganyanga nazo, hizi vitu wanaitanga national dialogue ama public participation, where they rig the numbers. They're going to do that with the IEBC. And what they're going to do is put idiotic things like 7-year terms. And that is one of the scariest things. Putting in a 7-year term in that referendum, Ruto atasema sijamaliza, I'll start from scratch. So 2026, your referendum iishe, aseme I begin my term now.
Kipril, as you talk about that, can you audit his statement vile amesema ati ni vile ameshikanisha vitu mingi? Is it true? Ati Raila Odinga would be doing the same, Can you?
That is the first time he said the truth. For the first time Ruto alisema ukweli leo, I took on too much. Which I knew. What he forgot to say is, I took on too much, which I promised, which I knew I will never deliver. But the first few statements was true. Nilitaka kufanya SHA, housing, all those things. Yes, we see it. But that statement, the second part of the second part of the statement,
alisema hata Raila Odinga could have done that, but Raila Odinga in his manifesto hakutuambia hivyo.
Second part of the statement, Raila would have done that. Hii vitu yote SHA, when Raila says SHA is a good thing. See, Raila said SHA is good. Number two, when you looked at the Adani deal was prepared by Raila, and he was going to implement those things. Everything that you see Ruto is trying to do was in Raila's handbook. And somebody else, another podcaster, alisema kitu very interesting. ODM is very well known for goonism. So imagine a combination of goonism and then a combination of goonism plus police. Akianani Kenya tungeumia. But today I could see the defeat of kitu ya Raila trying to talk sense and using big language and trying to use European, unajua vitu kama exchequer. Exchequer is a British thing. There's no exchequer in Kenya. There is no, we have treasury. Hakuna kitu kama exchequer. Hiyo ni ujinga, hiyo ni upumbavu. Or sijui he starts talking about the queen on behalf of the... Sasa leo akajaribu kusema he was trying to nyang'anya CDF money from the MPs. Ilikwama. I don't agree with CDF, but there's the one thing that is keeping MPs at bay, and I'm telling you right now, on either side, is that CDF thing. Any person at this point before the elections of 2027 who thinks is going to preach removing CDF, trust me, you fail. Because number one, some regions are actually getting trickled trickle down benefits of this. You know, like you see what do you call it? Babu's constituency, Kichungwa's constituency. There are a couple of constituencies that are actually using that money. A bit of it, I'm not going to say they are absolutely doing 100% of it. A bit of it actually is trickling down to the people. Some schools have been built here and there, wherever it is. Some eating programs, wherever it is. And then the second thing is, it's what the MPs used to eat. Hiyo ni yao ya kukula sasa. Hiyo ni pesa yao ya campaign. So Raila is coming here to tell us things that he's trying to please the MPs at the same time. Wananchi, it's not possible right now. At the moment, Raila, what he should be doing is trying to collect all the little power he has amongst his MPs, is to try and seduce them like Ruto. You can't, there's that statement like, you can't have your cake and eat it. Raila, if you're going fully towards the dark side, just malizana naenda. If that's what you need to just go and try and marinate all your MPs and all your leaders, wachana na wananchi, because as far as we're concerned, wewe ulitutupa wananchi kabisa, and tumekuona kama liar. So instead of coming to try and preach to the general public, just continue with your facade of preaching towards to the MPs. Yeah, endelea hivyo. Unakuja hapa unajaribu kuwanyang'anya CDF hiyo pesa yao ya kuibaiba. You think they'll listen to you? When you're with snakes, talk like snakes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Acha niache watu wengine waongee. Karibu
Okay.
my sister and Alex. And habari
Okay,
yako
sawa.
RB?
So Kipril, uendelee kutrain hacking. Kuna wakati tutataka services zako kuhack Kasongo.
Unajua sasa utafanya anaanze kucheka sahi.
No, we will hire your hacking services soon.
I'm not a hacker, but answer zako.
I don't know why I'm convinced you could be one, but ni sawa. Anyway,
Alex, I'm not going to lynch you, acha zako. Alex Budi
so Budi, go ahead.
Ameanza na uchokozi.
No, lazima nikuchokoze. So Budi,
si wewe.
Okay.
Unaona sasa brother yangu hapo Alex anaanza kunilynch. Watch this.
Yeah, by the way, we are still looking for subscribers. Tunataka tufikishe subscribers wanatoshana na hii mwaka 2025. So we are 2014. So if we can get 10 from here, tutashukuru sana. Good. So Budi, what can you comment about the final, let me call it the final stretch of ODM, because I don't think ODM will ever reach the level which they were there before. So what is the way forward based on what happened today between Ruto and Raila Odinga? Because now their romance is now beyond separation. Hawa ni kama wameoana, and the better we take it as a marriage, the better. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things I'm going to disagree with you, but let me. But there are, but a larger percentage we are going to agree on, and because politics is not an emotional power. It can be Russian, their primary purpose, the primordial cardinal purpose is power. And nobody wants to stay in that position. Let me take you to context.
Okay.
Let me take you through some historical context, and it's just 1 year historical context. About 6-7 months ago, there was a funeral in Luo Nyanza in Homa Bay. Homa Bay has become a beehive of activities. I mean, if you really want to know what's going to happen next in Kenya, you just need to look at how Homa Bay is behaving, and you will understand. And anybody who is not putting their radar on Homa Bay when it comes to the political spectrum of the future of Kenya, who is not keenly watching Homa Bay, I think then you are out of context, and maybe in terms of content of the politics of Ruto and Raila, you are way far away. Mbadi, there was a funeral a week earlier. Oburu Odinga goes, and actually it was a very an individual who had been in ODM, and Raila has this habit of lately not going to funerals, okay, especially in Luo Nyanza, Ogola, you know, all these funerals, he doesn't go. I don't know why. And that was a very prominent funeral whereby actually Oburu Odinga went. And then Oburu Odinga re-emphasized that, you know, the union between Ruto and Raila had been cemented, and there is nothing we can do. If at that particular time, it didn't shock me because I think we disagreed vehemently with a lot of you. At the juncture of NADCO report, I remember we became sworn enemies because I called Raila a lot of names because at that particular time I had, his history was very clear because I'm a student of history. I understood where he's headed. Then, 1 week later, there was a statement that we should never forget in the history of Kenya. Mbadi came and in a very unhinged manner, he said, we cannot, as ODM, play the politics of populism and the politics of what? Of theory. You need, I think, Jiru, for the sake of history, you need to bring that clip. Just say Mbadi, ODM chair, says we are not going to play the politics of populism and theory. I want you to bring that clip so that people can remember when and how it was cemented. When he said that, he said, sasa Kalonzo anatupeleka wapi? At that time, Kalonzo was becoming a little bit popular, and I think we were having hopes in Kalonzo. And I kept telling people, there is no place Kalonzo is taking us. And then he said, sasa Kalonzo anatupeleka wapi? Who is Kalonzo? And then he castigated Kalonzo. Then he said one statement that was the cardinal reason why ODM was going with to be with Ruto. He said, ati Uhuru Kenyatta anatuambia ati tukue patient, atatupeleka State House. Wakati alikuwa State House, wakati tulimwamini, wakati sisi wote tuliona tumeingia State House, he couldn't take us to the State House. Where is he taking us now? Why will he lie to us? So if you could look at the whole statement on Mbadi, Mbadi was saying our ultimate goal is also to be part of the State House. Anything close to State House is what we are really going to do. And he said, kama sio Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, some of us could have been cabinet ministers. That was a very unhinged speech. He ended up, speaking in Dholuo, and he said many things in Dholuo, and he explained so many things in Dholuo. Lucky enough, or blessed enough, I understand Dholuo, and I knew where he was coming from. Now, and later on, about a month or 2 months ago, Sifuna, started yapping. I said yapping because Sifuna's fate has already been sealed. Sifuna will end worse than Magerere. We have said this. Before I kept telling Julia here that the next Josephat Karanja is going to be Gachagua. Gachagua is not going to survive the deputy presidency. Gachagua is the Josephat Karanja in making. I hope Julia remembers that. I told him, but they said, no, we have a new constitution. I said, whether he likes it or not, Gachagua has gone beyond the boundaries that he ought to go as a deputy. And knowing Ruto, who he is, a man who never forgets, it has been sealed. Now, and the same thing I'm saying, Sifuna will be another Magerere. Sifuna is not going to do what he thinks he's going to do and make sure that ODM dies. If we think that ODM is going to die, ODM is not dying, unfortunately. And the reason I'm saying so is because some of the things that Raila has told us before, as a politician, not as a person who cares for us, we fail to put them at heart and understand what politicians think about power and themselves and what they are fighting for. We become so emotional, we believe that politicians are always for us, and we want to characterize their politics and their history based on our emotions and our suffrage. And that's not always the truth. It has never been. If you look at the true sense of politics and look at power, politics, and politician, then I think you can start having a clear picture who Raila Amolo Odinga has always been and who he is, without sugarcoating anything. Now, come 2013, Raila used a term that actually he himself, at that particular time, I used to deny that Raila was a practitioner of that kind of politics. And Raila uses sometimes they become a cliche within the political circle, and we don't know actually he's also describing himself. We always think that it's Ruto, whatever Ruto says is actually what is the opposite of him, or it's actually what he's going to do. But we think Raila ni mweupe kama pamba. Now, let me connect the dots between the politics of populism and what I want to say, and conclude with what Ruto said so that you can understand. Raila said, vifaranga via computer. How did Raila understand kuna vifaranga via computer in politics? Because ODM for years, and for whatever, we used to think there used to be democracy within the opposition. That statement of Raila was a revelation that we manufacture politicians within the political circle, but they act as if there was an election. And in that election, we start boasting that ODM is the biggest political party, you see, south of Limpopo and ABCD. We start using some narratives and cliches because we are, mesmerized, or because we are what? We are, tantalized in one way or the other. When Raila said that, I started noticing people like Jacoyo Midio and the people who used to get elected or get appointed or get sneaked in, when they are put on the side, they come and tell us what ODM usually does. People like Ababu Nambwama, who even became the Secretary General, they start revealing what ODM has always been. And we deny, we say, oh, these people are bitter. People like Muzalendo, wakati wananyimwa ticket, they come here, they tell us what ODM actually is, and we keep on denying. The reason I'm saying ODM will not die is because ODM now, with Ruto, have subscribed to the same politics that Ruto told us before the UDA nomination, that even if you are my friend, and I know that you cannot create that perception that you are going to win, I will not give you a ticket. What I will do is simple. I will let the person that will have the perception to win, and this is what I will do. I will give you a job. So people like Kostani, who are very powerful on the national level, but who are very unpopular, what did he do? He shortchanged them. But today, he has given them jobs in the airport. So Ruto knew how to play the real politics of power and perception, and towards clinching one simple thing. Now, after that, let me now connect to you why ODM is not going to die, and why Ruto understands that the death of ODM is going to be his death. And therefore, you cannot kill ODM when you know ODM is your lifeline towards stealing election. Okay? So for Ruto to win, for Ruto to manipulate us, for Ruto to make sure that he becomes a president until 2032, he must make a perception that ODM is strong, and he must create the strongness of ODM, whether he likes it or not. Recently, when Sifuna was making a lot of noise, all of a sudden, I am an ODM member, past. I've been saying I'm not part of it, but we paid our dues. We are lifetime members. We started asking how many people have gone out of ODM because we thought that they are going to be what? An en masse, immigration of people from ODM. But all of a sudden, we came to realize that actually the ODM membership is going up. So I started asking, how come with all these things happening? Then when the president started attacking Sifuna, now openly, I asked, why would the president attack Sifuna on the issue of ODM? And the words he used were very peculiar. Very peculiar. This is what he told Sifuna. Sifuna, he used present participle tense. Not past, not we were. We were and are the ODM founders. Now I question, is Ruto still in ODM? Did Ruto really quit ODM? Who is he to tell Sifuna that I can call the founders member of ODM? Now, we need to be a little bit honest now when it comes to the politics of conniving. Well, if we understand the truth, we will be able to put Ruto down. But if we want to stay with our emotions and lie to ourselves, it will be very difficult to deal with Ruto because, as I said, if I become a politician today, and that's why I told Father Darius to pray for me, if today I become a politician, I will want power. I will not want Benin power. I will not want power that I am an MP, but I don't have CDF. Okay, I will be a true MP because I want to become an MP and empower my people. So I will want true power. Now, this is why I'm telling you that if you look what Ruto said, he will call the founders member of ODM. Now, when I asked who are the founder members of ODM, and I came to realize that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was there, Raila was there, Kalonzo was there, Ruto was there, Henry Koskei was there, Mudavadi was there. So then I asked, so now who is not with Ruto right now? Murara Kibasa has told us, we all know, whether somebody comes here to lie to you or not, during the NADCO report, you saw Kalonzo, and I've emphasized, Kalonzo alikuwa na gari ya Wetangula 24/7. Okay? Kalonzo is in State House at night, is with us during the day. That's a fact. You people don't be lied to. So when he says he will call, he simply told Sifuna, look, this thing is already finished. You are joking. Sifuna thought he was tough. He thought his eloquence. He thought but Raila has dealt with him in a very conniving way. He ended up even signing what he didn't think he's going to sign. No, today he didn't go to that PG meeting. But everything from when Mbadi told us that the politics of populism and the politics of theory must be stopped. And he said, when Uhuru had the power to give us what he needed to give us, he didn't. The person who will be able to give us what we need is the one who is in State House, and we will deal with him and we will work with him. Does it come to a surprise that ODM and UDA had a PG meeting? Now, let's go to protocol. Protocol. You saw in the last that Raila finally is the one who welcomed Ruto to a PG meeting of ODM. What does that tell you? If you look at the PG meetings that happened before the election, when we went to Yakarua, when we went to others, when we went to Yanania, Kalonzo, remember, Raila was cheered a lot. But Raila spoke before Kalonzo. Kalonzo was the ultimate person that spoke at last because he is the leader. What is Ruto connivingly trying to tell you? That, you know what? ODM is under me. Now, Raila has finally given it to me. I am not going to take it openly. So these are the things we are seeing with our eyes. And we have kept, from the day of NADCO report, when we kept saying that, oh, hapana, baba hatafanya hivi. Later on, tukakasirika na yeye ati ameenda wapi? Ameenda kule juu. Tukasema he's going to fail. When he fails, atarudi kwetu. We told you he's not going to do that. He has insisted, he has said, I will support Ruto until 2032. So immediately 2032 gets is 2027. That is when he's going to go back. Do we even have time to campaign? He already told you he's supporting this guy mpaka 2032. So the PG meeting between UDA and ODM, we are paving way for new political party. We don't know what the name will be. We don't know if ODM is going to retain its name or contain its name. We don't know if UDA, but I don't think neither parties are going to do what? To retain the name. They are going to make a new movement. The history of Kenya is very clear. Every cycle of election, we must come with a new cliche, a new name, and a new wave. And Ruto understands that very well. The hustler movement is not going to work. The Sufuria thing is not going to work. Now they are carving a new path forward. And that is why you're hearing Raila speaking as a reformist now that, members of parliament should not get this ABCD. They have already decided this, whatever we call the IEBC, if we cannot deconstruct it now, if we agree we are going to election with the current IEBC, let's not even have emotions here. Let's stop the politics of discussion here. Let's not be hurt. Let's not even know that we are going to election. Raila has succumbed to the politics of what? Vifaranga via computer. Ichungwa will win whether the Kikuyu people vote for him or not. He will win by a landslide. And we are going to see things that we have never seen in the history of Kenya. Let me finish by this telling you. Kofi Annan, during the negotiation between Raila and Mwai Kibaki, told us that pahali wawili wakipigana, it is bad. But he reminded us, when two elephants actually make love in the purpose of making a baby, and I want to emphasize that, when two elephants are making love so that the gestation period or the pregnancy can be for 24 months, to get a baby after 24 months, that sex is rough. And that is what we are having right now. The love between Raila and Ruto is going to be rough on us. But they are going to bear a baby in front of us because we have already succumbed and accepted the IEBC. We have seen how institutions have been degenerated. Everything that Ruto has done is preparing for him. And there is one thing that we were told immediately Ruto came into presidency, that we will amend the constitution. And we laughed. And Raila now is singing the same thing about amending. Once you amend the constitution, probably you fortify and you say that Ruto first term does not come in the new constitution. Then you say, Ruto, now when he vies for the second term, that will be in the new constitution, which means again he can vie after 2032. And that is why the fight for democracy is real than ever. That is why you will see people like Orengo die without knowing how they are going to die. That is why you will see people like Otienda Amolo completely go silent, pin drop silent, because they have come to understand all along the game was played. That people who understand, that's why I keep on telling Deto, this nonsensical waffling about constitutionalism comes here and keep on yapping and making noise. It is not working. The constitution will not work. It's not working unless we go to the streets and fight for our right before 2027. If we go with what? And one thing, lastly, is that Gachagua understands and he will be given what he wants. And they know the only thing Gachagua wants and they will give him to allow him to contest for the presidency, and they will allow the whole of the mountain to win with DCP. They will allow that to contain him and show that democracy is there. And where will Kenya be left? As long as Gachagua is allowed to do that, he will not make noise. So I think the ball is on us. You've seen today, we have been told by Raila and Ruto that, this is the way forward. It is very clear. The two people have decided they will stay in power. We have been told the politics of populism and the politics of theory, it was dead. And these two elephants are making rough love. Okay? And they are going to bear a baby. And that baby is going to be a bouncing baby if we are not careful. It is time for us to wake up and understand, look, democracy is at its death in Kenya, right in front of our eyes. The illegality of the constitution in regard to the courts have proclaimed that the majority is this, the minority is this. Nothing is done. The courts are ignored. And the courts have kept quiet because they know the power that Raila and Ruto have right now is more than their power. Why? Because we can't go to the streets anymore. So anybody thinking here that is the death of ODM, yes, within us it is. But they have created a perception within the politician, which is a ruling class, another tribe that we never talk about. The moment your MP wins his seat, he's no longer a Kisi, he's no longer a Kalenjin. He is a tribe called a person who wants CDF. And that is why today, all of them, when CDF was touched, you saw them make noise. And it was intentional because today CDF is not a constitutional guaranteed CDF. It is called National Government CDF. So if they will do everything Raila says and Ruto says, they are guaranteed to get it. That was the warning they were given. Remember the 6 memorandum that Ruto gave to the MPs. One of them was, if you don't pass this, if you don't pass it, you don't pass this, then the national government CDF, NGCDF is within. If you don't pass one of them, you don't get CDF. What did they do? They passed them even when they did not want. So CDF is being used as a tool. So Raila was playing with us. So let's not even talk about that. CDF is in the hands of Ruto. And today Raila told his people, including Babu Obuino, that you know what? We have a tool that we can use against you. If you think you are the best member of parliament in the country, we can take it away from you. And there is nothing you can do. So these people wametushika hapo milestone pike anasemanga kule chini mahali pagumu, na Julia kama angekuwa hapa ningesema, but wacha niachie Julia endelee kuongea.
Julia atatanja hapo pahali. Go ahead Julia.
Okay, Saseni. Hi cousin. I'm wondering one thing. Sorry, poleni kwa hiyo kelele. I'm wondering one thing. I'm wondering why Ruto is fighting MPs. Alianza hiyo story za Jaba kusema kwamba ati MPs are very corrupt. Ati they have what? They have the most corrupt house, the most what. And I like what Kabando replied. Akasema kwamba Ruto is the chief briber. So what hii drama ya nini anatuletea ati MPs are corrupt? Sasa leo ati senators are very corrupt. Mmesikia hizo story ya kusema senators are very corrupt? Ati senators mpaka wako na machairman wa kuitisha governance bribe. Yani Ruto sasa ndio amekundwa hiyo story. Ati hizo stories za Jaba. Ati senators are very corrupt. So I don't know what he's trying to manipulate the MPs and the senators to do. I think he's trying to manipulate them. I think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's trying to make them maybe pass some law or something. Your story metokea. Then I also saw something Ruto saying that he accepts that he has become very unpopular. And he was trying to justify why he thinks he's very unpopular. for something, hata kama he may be playing brave or acting brave, amesukumwa for him to be talking like that. Kasongo amesukumwa kabisa, and he knows he's unpopular, and he knows the only way of this thing out is in the election. The only way is of creating a picture kama kwamba maybe he may create a picture kwamba they are working with ODM, and therefore ODM will help them win. But personally, I also think ODM is a slowest movement. For example, Sifuna na wengine did not even attend that meeting. So I don't think Sifuna is dumb. Sifuna needs to go back to win his senatorial seat in Nairobi. He needs to win that. So I think Sifuna is very calculative. Sifuna is not dumb. Sidhani Sifuna anafanya very miscalculated steps. The only way of Sifuna going back to Nairobi is disassociating himself with ODM. That is the only way. I don't think ODM can gather the votes they gathered in Nairobi again. In fact, I'm seeing a situation where ODM itachapa kichapo cha umbwa in Nairobi and other neutral places. I think ODM may only have members of parliament in Luo Nyanza. Sidhani, at a Western, they may be having an uphill task. I don't think they are as assertive as they were. So I think Sifuna is playing his cards, and I don't know which ataruka wapi. I hope he's playing safe, because if he's also not careful, he can find himself nowhere in particular. So I hope he's playing safe. So Sifuna and team wenda wengine hawakwenda kwa hiyo mkutano. That is open rebellion. Then when Raila Odinga said something about CDF, some people booed him. I'm like, hey, Kenya, Njiru unachokora nini? Njiru unachokora nini? Njiru unachokora nini? Unapika ugali. So when some people say,
wewe endelea. Si unaongea story ya Raila. Unaongea story ya Raila ama unasikiliza kile anachokora? Focus. Julia, wewe focus. Can you focus?
I'm wondering what are you doing? So that is distraction. You are distracting us. Now, when Raila Odinga said something, he was booed. You know, Kenya has changed so much in the last 2 years, Njiru and Alex and RB, that there are things that happen in Kenya that people would never have thought they would have happened. Did you see that even cheering Harambee Stars? I think Kenyans had to be persuaded and informed kwamba they were going to affect the matches and the stars, and even maybe even it was a kafa inaitwa nini ama what is it called, this African whatever in charge of soccer may have given Kenya a serious punishment for misbehavior. But I think people were literally going to jeer and boo Kasongo in the stadium, lakini ni kama walichanuka kidogo, wakaona hapana, tusilete hiyo drama hapa. But Kenya has changed. Kenya has changed. The things that happen in Kenya never happened 2 years ago. I don't think Raila Odinga would have expected to be jeered by members of parliament, whom he calls his own. I don't think that jeer was acted. I think it came out so natural. Sababu pesa yao inaguzwa. Ilitoka tu. Si kama wali-act. Ilitoka tu. So Raila Odinga was trying to assert himself, according to me, as I think Raila Odinga anajiona kama co-president. Unaona vile unaweza ita watoto wako wasomee, wapatie lecture. Lakini wapi? Kenya imebadilika. See, if MPs can jeer Raila Odinga in the presence of Ruto, that tells me Kenya imebadilika sana. And to me, things fall apart. As things fall apart, for UDA, things are falling apart badly for ODM. ODM will never be the same again. I think that is a question, Njiru, you ask. ODM will never be the same again, especially in the neutral place kama neutral playground kama Nairobi. Hapo watapatiwa kichapo cha umbwa, especially if this opposition do what we call zoning and they have one candidate. They will be given a thorough beating. And especially if a lot of those candidates will be from Western Kenya. Especially. That's my take, Njiru. I thought that's a question, Njiru, you ask. Hapo nimejibu. Acha nisimanifikishe hapo Njiru.
Sawa, nimekusikia Njuria. So I have heard the narrative from Alex, and Alex is saying that ODM is not dying. But the question which I'm asking myself, and Alex seems like to feel like Ruto and Raila Odinga could revamp themselves to something actually which can win the election. The question which I'm asking, are Kenyans not aware of these gimmicks and the open rejection of Ruto, the one-term movement? Can't the one-term movement neutralize all the efforts Ruto and Raila Odinga are doing? Ni swali nauliza Julia.
Okay, even before I even forgot to say this, Ruto or himself admitted that he has become very unpopular. Did you watch that meeting? He admitted that he has become very unpopular.
Yeah, tumecheza hapa, we showed it. Go ahead.
ODM is gone in the neutral places. ODM want to get kura zake from Nyanza. But on the notion that Ruto and ODM, I won't say yes or no. He could be doing that. I will not say that he may be, but I don't think Ruto can do that either. He just hopes that, I think Ruto has hopes against hopes that ODM will keep its popularity. Lakini he won't. If Sifuna and the others, and I don't know which MPs are those, had the audacity not to go for that meeting, if they had the audacity, they're not so dumb. They're so ground. If they had the audacity to decide hawaendi kwa hiyo mkutano, ni ground wamesoma. Sifuna is not dumb. For Sifuna even to go back into the Senate, he needs a kind of different kind of backing. Nakura. And akina Gachagua, they only need to front Aluya and support him in Nairobi. Na anapata hicho kiti. So, hii story ati kwamba ODM haiwezi pata Nairobi, ODM will be done. Na mimi nimekuwa nikisema hata I will be one of those people. I know somebody may say my kura yangu ni moja, but I will be one of, mimi nitachukua jana Njiru liniita gathukiria, nitachukua kura Nairobi ndio nihakikishe I will be one of those who will vote in Nairobi from Mount Kenya region to make sure ODM and UDA lose miserably. That is the plan that I have, and I hope many other people have. So I was surprised by the GS. I'm also surprised that Sifuna had the receipt to don't go for that meeting. And I'm surprised that Kasongo admits that he's unpopular. Na mimi Njiru nikajiuliza na si resign. Mbona asijiuzuru?
I think still he doesn't have that confidence. Anataka kubalance aone kama if things can still, I think he still want to see the trajectory. Ni confidence ana, sio kupenda.
Akona uoga sasa, ameigiza maji baridi
In Kikuyu or in Kiambu you call it guthimera. He is still thimaring guthimera. Yani anathimera aone. Tunasikia vile mnasemanga, Julia, you don't remember mnasema hebu pimia kidogo uone.
Vile kutaenda.
That is it.
Jamaa amesukumwa. Ati anasema ati lazima ange implement SHA. Imagine he has said all the things that have made people hate him. SHA. New university funding model. See, you listen to that in Njiru. He has said all the things that have made Kenyans hate him. What is wrong with him? Kumbe anajua hivyo. Na si angewacha tu arudisha status quo. And then Raila Odinga is acting co-president. Ataenda kupea MPs.
But me, I don't think, Julia, I don't think they can move an inch. You want to tell me that Kenyans are going to forget the kids who have died?
No.
Kenyans are going to
Exactly.
forget the economic tragedy. Kenyans are going to forget the problems which we have been having, and we now start embracing Ruto rise and embrace simply because ameshikana na Raila Odinga. Tuanze kusema watu, are you telling me that Kenyans are going to forget like abductions? I don't know.
No. Let me tell you, the only weapon they have is rigging the election, Njiru. And as long as if we find a way of dealing with that, they are done. They are gone. Hakuna weapon nyingine wako nayo hapo.
So maybe Julia, as you finish up, maybe I would want maybe also RB to react on that, but I would want to understand unless maybe Kenyans are that highly forgetful, is there a way in which Ruto can recreate himself? Ni swali nauliza, kuna kitu ambacho Ruto anaweza fanya to recreate himself to look appealing to Kenyans?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Lakini endelea dada, umalizie.
Sawa, Arabi hawezi Njiru. Anaweza fanyaje? Arudishe NHIF. Okay, let's start imagining things that are fake, Unaona? Tuanze kuishi utopia. Me and Njiru and NRB. Ati Ruto aseme amerudisha NHIF. Alafu aseme nini? Arudi kwa HELB. Alafu afanye nini Njiru? But he murdered people's children.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, and sorry to cut you in.
It's okay.
You have to remember the issue of.
Okay, kidogo as you speak,
Okay. Wow. We also have to understand the issue of demographics. So to answer kukuongezea and to answer Njiru's question. So right now, what I have gathered with politics is all about perception and reputation. And reputation can be mended on various ways. You can deny, or you can have other new inputs to alter that narrative, which is detrimental to your cause. And that is essentially what Chan has been doing for Ruto. Sasa unaona vile ana entice the majority of the demographics in voters who are the youth, very disenfranchised, haonekani, they don't have a voice, but now you have validated their presence na kitu kama hii. And we can see how Ruto is milking that cow to his advantage. So that is one of the things he's using, if you ask me. But the most important thing is, as Njiru put it, what watasahau? Are we forgetting that on June the 24th last year, we witnessed an expression of disgust in the leadership when Bunge was stormed? And this is all about, this came, we can say that this came as a backdrop of the financial bill, which focused on the government's proposal to raise taxes on essentials, mafuta, chakula, all these services. So these are the issues which are close to the people's hearts. Na tunaweza tukasema hivi, lakini tuna sasa kwa sisi tuko ng'ambo, tunasahau our families back at home. This is their daily reality. You know, this is their daily reality. They're breathing it, they're sleeping it, they're waking up to it. They're seeing it in the faces of their children. Wanaona bibi akikuja vile amekunja sura. Kwa sababu mzee hawezi kuleta unga because things are tight. So once you hear the MPs booing Raila, it's not because they're championing the people's cause. They're only out looking out for their own stomachs. Hakuna kitu kingine. Ni tumbo zao wanaangalia tu. And this is why it is so important right now. It is so important to remember where we have been, where we are, what we have, and going forward by making the right demands on those we perceive as the champions of our cause. We have to ask serious questions. Sasa ukiangalia, sijui kama mliona ile kitu ya Wanjigi leo. Nilisikiliza kidogo nikiwa huko kwa traffic. Aliongea hii mambo, hii swala la economy. So you have this 4.1 billion CDF puzzle. A huge discrepancy uncovered by the National Government Constituency Unated Development Fund. Sijui bursary missings and all that, you know. Sasa si ndio mbinu hizi mbinu zote na zingine ndio inalipa ujenzi wa hiyo kanisa hapo kwa State House, na hii malipo ya hawa wachezaji wa Harambee, na hiyo wheelbarrow ya empowerment. On the other side, you have arrears amounting everywhere, from the SHA, SHIF or whatever. Na si pesa kidogo, they're in their billions. So we actually broke as fuck. So last year, Kenya paid almost, ilikuwa ni ngapi? Ilikuwa 2.4 trillion to the lenders. Hii ndio ile do ya cavitation. Hata ile SHA na SHIF. That is why it is unable to fund your meds and the CT scan in case ukikuwa mgonjwa. Kama umetoka mashinani, si mtoto wako ataendelea tu kusoma kwa hiyo shule ya matope. Hakuna kitu kingine. So I expected the revenue of last year, ile pesa wanaokota hapo, they paid 2 trillion to lenders. Ndio lisikia last week, unasikia the banks, they have reported one of the best years of their life in Kenya. Why? Because hii serikali ni kukopa inakopa tu ili endelee na hii miradi yao ya wizi. Because this money has to come from somewhere. So when the banks are reporting these such huge returns, so we have to understand that's where the money for the piki and kanisa is coming from. Yes, ndio wanaitaga local expenditure. So you can also ask, hii pesa ilikuwa kwenye budget? Was this money allocated for the last year's fiscal budget? Ama ni pesa inatoka mbinguni kipitia hiyo kanisa ya State House? These are real issues, bwana. I'm not worried ati nani atisijua wanasemaje kwa hiyo Kikuyu ya hapo Kiambu, kuhora kanwa ile ati MP wamefanya kwa Raila. I don't give a damn. Ile kitu inanikasirisha sana. Albert Ojwang, RIP. Boni, RIP. This is where we're coming from. Masai. Na wengine wengi sana. I mean, there's so many young people, our future. So it's crazy. So when I say we need to be clear in making demands on Gachagua, Matiang'i, or Kia, because as it stands now, Gachagua is the vocal one of the lot. But is he ready to table a referendum in amending the constitution to serve Kenyans when his time comes? Or whatever it will take to empower the Auditor General with enforcing powers. Kwa sababu saa hizi Auditor General yeye hana meno. So amending the current constitution to serve Kenyans should be the #1 priority for the next administration, whether we like it or not. Because it's all about economy. It's all about security in health and education for the purposes of maximization of production. So we need a leadership that has a vision to grow the economy, 2x, 5x, 17x, 23x, or the desired 27.8. And for the love of me, why can't we? Siku ile Singapore ilikuwa na hizo ambition, walikuwa na teknolojia ile Kenya iko nayo sasa hivi in 2025. Ama walikuwa wameumbwa na Mungu mwingine aliwapatia akili mbili na akapatia Mwafrika wa Kenya akili moja. These things, they don't make sense. So there's so many questions we need to ask. So in efforts of reducing the large wage bill, are there kina Matiang'i and Gachagua was willing to reduce the number of counties in Kenya? I don't know. Kwa sababu ile pesa inapotelea hapo, only God knows. Are they willing to do away with the executive at the county level and settle for an administrative leadership? Hatujui. Are they willing to do away with the CDF? We saw what happened today. Are they willing to get rid of this women rep ujinga mwingi? Hatujui. Are they ready to set up a new mechanism? What is disbursement of ile pesa inaenda kwa county to be administratively flowing, to a county development fund, bank. Ikiwekwa, hatujui. And this is why each county is limited to, let's say, one single account, as opposed to the current shit show, whereby you find some county has up to 15 ghost accounts. Si hapo ndipo pesa inapotelea. So kuna mambo mingi
Yeah, Arabi, maybe for the sake of, because I want to migrate from here up Nico, and I might miss a chance of doing videos. Let me do 2 videos and then we continue with the dialogue for the purposes of making these things well. Please, if you allow it.
Mimi naenda kulala kwa sababu naenda kazi kesho asubuhi. Ngoja tunataka tu kuchangia hiyo tu.
Sawa, enda ututafutie pesa.
Senator and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna was among lawmakers who snubbed a crucial joint Kenya Kwanza ODM parliamentary group meeting in Karen, co-chaired by President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Sifuna, alongside Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino, has in recent days openly dismissed the Ruto-Raila broad-based arrangement, branding it as not the deal Kenyans want. KTN's Lennox Sengre reports.
As the high-stakes Karen PG meeting convened by sworn political nemesis President William Ruto and ODM Raila Odinga reached its climax, their party's luminaries' absence loomed large. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna was a no-show. Sifuna, famed for his fiery political rhetoric, is now the subject of deepening speculation over his loyalty to Raila Odinga's camp. His conspicuous absence reignited talk of looming political realignment at the heart of ODM. Earlier in the day, Sifuna was in Diani at the Law Society of Kenya's annual conference, where he was photographed alongside Embakasi East MP Babu Owino. The Embakasi legislator, another key ODM figure who pointedly skipped the current gathering. In recent months, Sifuna has cast himself as a political free agent, openly rebelling against certain ODM positions. Including its warming ties with President Ruto. Also missing in action was Saboti MP Caleb Amisi and Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale. Karen PG was the first ever joint meeting between ODM and UDA since unveiling of broad-based government front. Lennox Sengre reporting.
Okay, wacha nicheze ya ingine kidogo tu. Pia hii nangetaka muniarifu. I have just been hearing it in the corridors.
I had a broken windshield and I had to file a claim for that. The good news is I had glass coverage on my engine.
Now to health matters, where the management of the Nairobi hospital has rescinded the implementation of a price review following a standoff with insurance companies that had suspended their services. While announcing the new changes, Board of Management Chairman Buckley Onyambu said the move is aimed at allowing further dialogue with insurance with an aim of providing access and high-quality medical care to patients.
This is our plea as an institution, that we want to make healthcare accessible, especially when we have promised people that we are going to make it accessible for you. That when we have done that, we want to make it accessible to anywhere, to anyone who would require that kind of healthcare.
As we speak, we only have rates that we had prior to the adjustment. So I think it's important that is understood. We don't have new rates. We have rates that we've been using for the last 2 years. Those are the rates that are now applicable as we speak. So anybody who is coming to our facility, there are no new rates. We are using rates that they've been enjoying for the last 2 years.
There was a more comprehensive one inaoneshana, I think, the death of that hospital, just kidogo tu.
Hiyo ni Nairobi Hospital.
Yeah, Nairobi Hospital kuna vile inadai. Let me put, I think it was one of the serious hospitals in Kenya.
Healthcare institution is facing a major crisis as a leadership power struggle threatens to bring it to its knees. The supremacy battle within the hospital's management, coupled with the withdrawal of coverage by more than 10 top insurance firms over a rate review, has left hundreds of patients stranded and all the hospital's satellite facilities deserted. Ode Francis reports.
A spot check conducted across 4 of Nairobi Hospital's 5 satellite centers, including Galleria in Karen, Warwick Outpatient Center in Runda, Roslyn Riveria, and the main headquarters on Agwings Kodhek Road, reveals a troubling picture. A private healthcare giant battling for survival, near empty corridors, skeletal staff, as those with the means transfer their patients from the wards.
Sijui kama nitasaidiwa.
Right now it's suspended.
Huh?
It's suspended.
Why?
It is suspended since yesterday. Unless you pay cash.
Na kama mtu ana cash alikuwa analipa insurance akitegemea.
Sasa wali suspend. Huko na kwa news.
The fallout is severe. Hundreds of patients, many in critical condition or with scheduled procedures, are now stranded. Expectant mothers due to deliver within days face the grim reality of paying out of pocket or urgently transferred to another hospital. Cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy are among the most hit. With treatment plans disrupted, many are now forced to shoulder huge cost of treatment or delay care. Outpatients have been turned away at billing desk, some resorting to borrowing money just to attend follow-up appointments.
They withdrew. Then whatever's been going on.
What is?
They talks with
I don't know what is going. I don't know what is going on.
They're having talks with the insurances, but at the moment, after the main hospital is not taking.
In a bid to de-escalate the standoff, Nairobi Hospital has temporarily reviewed the prices downwards. However, the insurance companies have remained adamant. Coverage remains suspended, and insurers continue to redirect their clients to alternative facilities. Medics within the facility are reportedly referring patients elsewhere, particularly those slated for surgeries or deliveries. The internal strain is palpable. Negotiations between Nairobi Hospital and the insurers continue behind closed doors for when coverage might resume, leaving patients, staff, and stakeholders in a state of uncertainty. But the crisis notwithstanding, two warring parties continue to lock horns, with two conflicting letters emerging, with both parties claiming to represent the hospital's board, one from Dr. Basley Onyambo and the other from Herman Manyora, each asserting authority as chairman of the board of management. In the letters, Manyora accuses CEO Felix Osano and Company Secretary Gilbert Nyamweya of unilaterally increasing patients' charges by up to 61% without board consent. Onyambo, in turn, dismisses Manyora's legitimacy and accuses him of corruption, including soliciting bribes from hospital suppliers. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Huyo ni yule Manyora tunajuanga, ama ni Manyora? Swali tu nauliza, is that the infamous Herman Manyora, the Professor Manyora, ama ni Manyora mwingine?
Hata mimi nimeshangaa.
So Julia, you can react to that before nifunge kituo sasa.
By the way, you can close. Hata nimeshangaa. So you see now they have ruined that hospital yenye kumekuwa na such good traditions. So nimeshangaa sana. Hiyo ni Kenya. I guess you can close, Njiru. We can talk tomorrow.
Okay, there's no problem about that. I have to change my location, but you can react to Sifuna. What do you think Sifuna kutoenda hiyo mkutano ya ODM? There were two videos there.
Ground. Sifuna amesoma ground. Amesikiza ground.
Do you think wakiwa na kina Babu Owino na Kare Bamisi, do you think they are rescued? They are not going to be treated like other ODM members.
How?
Nikuuliza.
You see, they cannot be chased from the party right now. ODM doesn't want a by-election that they lose in Nairobi. That is one, right?
Okay.
So, Sifuna knows that he will not win in Nairobi with ODM. He's just been truthful to himself. So, and I prepare ground ya kuhama. It's not like he's trying to wreck ODM. He's protecting his own interests. That's my take, Njiru.
Okay, so in other words, you feel like Sifuna is doing the right thing. It's like a fighting from within instead of just migrating from the political party. Is that what you mean?
Yes. He's fighting from within, and he's behaving like JB Muturi. Unaona JB Muturi alikataa kutoka mpaka katolewa. Kuna kitu nimeona nowadays that nowadays you don't resign. You remain rebellious ukiwa ndani. That is the latest bidding I've seen with Kenya.
Unapigana ukiwa ndani, fighting from within.
Yes, you wreck the house. You wreck the house so that when ukifukuzwa utatoka na wengi.
Unaleta mafuta ukiwa ndani ya kuchoma. So unachoma ukiwa ndani. You make sure that you leave everything in tatters.
Na unakaa kama JB was so disrespectful. Alikuwa anasema ati JB, kwa nini hujaenda mkutano, ati had other important things to do. Unakumbuka how he used to react when he
Yeah, I remember they used to
Ruto's cabinet meeting. Imagine your own cabinet secretary anasema ati hakuona haja ya mikutano yako Njiru. Which other insubordination is bigger than that?
Sometimes when you have seen something is dying, but, let me, sababu ni swali nauliza, this collapse of this, because like Nairobi hospital was I remember in Kenya, like why would such a hospital just collapse namna hiyo?
Corruption. Tumesikia vile they accusing each other. Kila mtu ako na interest zake.
That is huge anyway.
That is huge and that's a shame.
I was not expecting that I would hear hospitals like Nairobi hospital and other hospitals collapsing namna hiyo. Haya ni sawa Julia. I think we can close. Let's meet tomorrow.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah. Tumeshukuru kwa wale watu wametujoin. Bye.